Today I'm going to show you how to install SPEC-D's black projector headlights on this 2017 Ford F-150. Let's go ahead and get started. First thing that we're going to do is remove the push pin that's at the top of our headlight trim piece. Now if you look at it closely, there's going to be a little indentation. You can just stick a flathead screwdriver in there, lift up on the top part of this push pin. Sometimes they'll be a little picky, sometimes they like to break off, but you should be able to get it up just like that, and then the bottom portion should come out pretty easily. Next, we're going to look to the inside of our fender well. There's going to be two 7mm bolts. We need to remove those as well. Now at this point, the only thing that's holding in our headlight trim is some push clips. So we're going to start at the top, and we're just going to gently pull out on our headlight trim. It should start coming apart. Now you can see at the end, if you have a factory fender flare, you're going to see some push tabs that need to get pushed out before you can remove the rest of this piece. So now we have our headlight trim piece out. Now if you have your factory fender flare, you're going to see some of these pins on the inside like we showed you before. Now those are on the other side are going to have these channels that are going to fit into these grooves in our fender flare. So what you just have to do is pull on it, kind of wiggle it through a little bit until you can unseat it from these, and then you should be able to pull it out. Next, we're going to remove one 8mm bolt at the underside of our headlight. It's going to be closest to our grill. And then next, we're going to remove six 10mm bolts. There's going to be 3 here right directly underneath of our headlight, and then there's going to be 3 to the side. So to get this last bolt, you're probably going to have to pull a little bit more of your fender flare off. What you're going to do is just push up on it, unseat it from its clip, and then you can pull it out. And get our 10mm in there. Now inside our wheel well, we're going to have another push pin that needs to be removed. It's going to be right here. Again, we'll use our flathead screwdriver, push out the top part like that, and then the bottom part should come out pretty easily too. So now if we look to the inside of our fender flare, right to the outside of our wheel well here, you can see that there's a couple tabs. What we're going to do is take a flathead screwdriver, and we're going to push down on that and pull this piece away. It should pop out like that. Now if you look to the inside of this bracket piece, right beneath our headlight, you can see there's a couple more clips that are retaining this thing in place. So the middle tab on these, we just want to push in, and you can see it come up. We're going to do that on both of those, and then pull this piece away. Now if you look in between the space between your grill and your headlight, you'll see some silver bolts, and then you'll see one 10mm black bolt. That's the one that we need to remove. So you'll need a couple extensions. And then once you get it on there, you just should be able to easily remove it. Just be careful that when this bolt is out, you don't accidentally drop it. And then you got to spend a few minutes to try to find it again. Next, we're going to remove two 10mm bolts at the top of our headlight. Again, those bolts are going to be black as well. Now with all those bolts out, we can gently pull our housing away and then unplug everything from the back. Once you have it out, just going to go ahead and pull everything off. Like that. Unplug the larger housing, just like that. Now on the back of our factory headlight housing, you'll have a black plug here. We don't need to do anything with that one. This brown one we're actually going to remove and swap over to our new headlight. So now we have our new headlight housing, and we're just going to replace this back in, pop it in, and then you should be able to twist it into place. So the last thing that we need to do before we can install our new headlight is remove our bulb right here. So next we're ready to install our new housing, and we're just going to plug our connectors in the same location that we took them off of our factory housing. And then we'll connect our brown harness to our brown harness, like that, and then the main harness here. Make sure everything's got good connection on it. So once all of our connectors in, we're going to go ahead and line it up where our factory housing came out of. There's going to be a locating pin on your far right. Make sure that pops into place. You should see your holes at the top line up. And once you have it in the right location, we can go ahead and start putting our factory bolts back in. Now our top bolts we're going to do first. Those are going to be our black 10mm bolts. Just get those started by hand. And we're just going to go ahead and snug them up. We don't want to go super tight on these. We don't want to damage our housing. Next, we can reinstall our other black 10mm bolt in between our grill and our light housing. Now, it might be a little bit difficult to fish it in there, but once you get it in, go ahead and tighten it down. Next, we can reinstall our bracket, and that's going to line up to some pins that are in our frame here. So we want to make sure these two pins line up with our two holes right here. And then we want to make sure these two holes line up with our locating pins here. So I'm going to do the side first. Push those in. And then I'm going to locate the bottom. Once you got it, you should feel it all kind of click into place. You can kind of look, make sure all of your holes are lined up. And if they are, you can go ahead and start putting all of your bolts back in. So now, starting closest to the grill, I'm going to reinstall all of our bolts. Remember, this first bolt is going to be an 8mm. And I'm just going to get everything started by hand and then go back through and tighten everything up. So next is our 10mm bolts. There's one right there, one here. And on the side, we have 3 more right here. Inside here. And then remember, there's one right inside on the very edge where your fender flare is gonna kind of hide it. And then on the very end, remember we have a push pin. It's gonna go right in the back. So now we can go back through and tighten everything up. It's our 8mm. And then our 10 for the rest. So in our fender well on the back side of our bracket, we're going to reinstall our push pin. It's going to go right there. Just push that into place. Now on our headlight trim piece, we're going to push out the tabs that were holding our trim piece to our fender. To do that, we're just going to use a pair of needle nose pliers. We're going to push in on the sides. And then you should be able to pull them out. There's one. We're going to do both of them. There's the other one, and then we're going to reinstall these on our fender flare. Now on the inside of our fender flare, we're just going to slide our clips back into place. You can see the hooks here. They're just going to slide right in. The white one is going to be at the bottom. The next one up is our yellow. Just like that. And then if you had to take the next one out at the top, that one is going to be a large black one. And then once you get the black one in, you can actually push that back in. And now we're ready to reinstall our headlight trim. Now when installing our trim piece, we're going to start at the fender flare side. We're going to pull that flare out just a little bit, slide our trim piece in, line it up, should feel it start clipping into position. Push the centerpiece past your headlight. Should also line up your fender flare there. You can push that back in. And then at this point, you're just going to be lining up your clips and pushing the trim piece in. Go ahead and push all the way along it. Make sure all your clips have engaged. And once you've done that, you can put your push pin back in the top. Now we can install our push pin back in the top. Just push it in like that and then push the top down. Next, we're going to go back to the fender well and we're going to reinsert our two 7mm bolts here and here. Then we can go ahead and tighten those down. Then we're going to repeat all those steps on the other side. All right guys, that completes the installation. If you have any questions, give us a call or visit us online.